I'm David Peterson with the Sugar Shaker Nectar Maker and Outdoor Bird Supplies, and today we're going to talk about your favorite hummingbird feeders, and specifically we're going to work on how do you keep it from leaking. All right, we have four basic models here. This isn't all the ones we carry in the store, but it'll give you a good idea what we're looking at. This one is kind of famous, made by Aspects, comes in a couple different sizes. And the only way it could leak is if it got tipped. So that'd be the only way. And it's kind of nice as well because it has an ant moat built in. So water goes in here and nectar goes in the big part. So as long as there's water in here, ants can't get to here. And again, the whole point of this video is it doesn't leak. The second one's probably been made since 1970, comes in a couple different models. It's called the Best One. Again, the only way this one can leak if it got tipped. So, and then again, the holes are so small, it rarely gets bees around them. So it's just a no drip, no leaking model. It would require an ant moat on top to keep the ants from getting to the sugar water below. This was kind of fancy. It sticks right to the windows, made by Perry Enterprises up in Tennessee. You just lift the flower off and the nectar goes inside here. And then it's kind of nice. It actually has a bee guard built in. So there's no bees that are going to be circling this because there's no way nectar can leak out to this portion of the flower. So that's perfectly fine. And then there's this type model. I'll cover this in just a couple seconds, but we don't carry many of these, and the reason is they tend to leak. Okay, like I said, we don't carry many of these types of models, which are gravity fed like this, because they do tend to leak, and if they leak, then we get the ants and the bees, which is horrible. So, but there's a trick to it. Okay, first off, like we said before, we're going to need an ant moat on top, especially if we're leaking, because the ants are going to be crawling up this thing, getting all over it. So we'll need an ant moat that sits on top of this. And then let's focus on exactly what I'm talking about. So we are gravity fed to this little tip right here, and it's just that little tip that's keeping the thing from leaking. So how do we fix it? It's about the feeder. Again, it's gravity fed. This little tip is holding everything back, but eventually this piece will also wear out. And then don't fret if that happens to you. You can get a replacement part. Just about anybody sells them, and you just plug it right into the hole. Okay, so we're just going to take our sugar shaker. We filled it up, so we got our nectar made. And now we're going to show you what actually happens here. I'm just going to take a little bit, pour it in here. I'm going to take my time because I don't want any getting on the edge, because if it gets on the edge, it's going to make a mess. Stick my plunger all the way in, and then we're going to flip it over. And as you can see, without even the wind blowing, it has decided to start dripping. And it's just going to drip until it runs out of water. Okay. We're going to pull the plunger out. I'm going to show you a little trick here. So that's filled up about not quite halfway, if you can see that inside there. I'll just kind of wiggle it around, right? And it obviously started dripping right away. Now again, I don't want the nectar on the outside of this. So I'm going to try to take my time. You get nectar on the outside, you're going to get ants. Just take our little sugar shaker, pour it right in nice and slow. But this time I'm going to fill it all the way up. Okay? I'm going to stick my plunger in and flip it over. Nothing. So that's how you take a leaky hummingbird feeder and turn it into a non-leaking hummingbird feeder. The hummingbird's still going to be able to stick his tongue up there, get the nectar. As the nectar starts to draw down, the vacuum is created up into this piece, and the pressure just keeps the thing elevated up in there, and that will solve your problem. Again, I'm Dave Peterson with Outdoor Bird Supplies and Sugar Shaker Nectar Maker. Thank you very much for enjoying our video.